I feel like there are a lot of Raider fans out there, not most, not the majority, but a lot, that are kind of taking for granted being a Raider fan. And let me finish that statement before you lose your absolute mind. Yes, we've dealt with nothing but absolute turmoil and hypocrisy and dysfunction over the last 25-ish years, right? No doubt about it. However, how often do you consistently see players or coaches of players or fathers of players or fathers of coaches of players push their young children or push themselves into the dysfunction because they still want to play for that organization, or they want to be able to fix it, or they want to say, I'm the one who was able to bring the Cleveland Browns back to the rooftops, mountaintops, probably better. My point is this: for all the dysfunction surrounding the Raiders, post-Tom Brady, pre-Tom Brady, all of it, we still find ourselves in the very advantageous situation of free agents, and more importantly, in this particular situation, prospects and coaches / fathers of prospects wanting their sons to play for the Raiders. Even wanting them to play for Antonio Pierce, who thus far has proven not to be the best home run candidate to take over for the head coaching position moving forward. And yet here we are. So I just want to say, don't take for granted being a fan of a franchise that, yes, has dealt with a million years of dysfunction, but somehow has been able to push through all that to still kind of be a destination spot for all these young prospects. It was the same for Jaden Daniels. He wanted to come to the Raiders. And now Shedeur Sanders, Dion, talking about how he would like him to play for AP and the Raiders. I don't know if it's AP specific or Raiders specific, but we're going to hop into this article right here. I'm going to give my takes. I'm going to break down Shedeur Sanders' film, rank him amongst the quarterbacks I've already ranked, Cam Ward, Drew Aller, and I'm going to tell you if I think we should draft this guy. Before I do that, I just want to mention a couple things. Thing one, about 56% of the people watching this video are not yet subscribed, but they still come back and keep watching. We are 300 subscribers away from 11,000. Hit that sub button if you're new. Why not? Why not? And last but not least, check out the Patreon, patreon.com/ALLaBorde Raiders, where if you sign up for specific tiers, one is as low as $5 a month, you get all my videos days in advance. You get your name at the end of the credits. You get Patreon exclusive videos like this one, like me breaking down different prospects, watching copyrighted film, and you get all my videos ad-free, and YouTube monthly advisory program videos from me. That is patreon.com/ALLaBorde Raiders. If you go all the way to the top of this page right here and go to the membership tier, these are the memberships and the access that you gain with these memberships. Okay, let's read this article by RaidersBeat.com. Deion Sanders has been saying it for months, and he said it again this week. He is prepared to step in and push Shedeur Sanders to an NFL team he thinks is a good fit, a la Eli Manning. There is some speculation that the Raiders are at the top of Deion Sanders and Shedeur Sanders' list, and that theory picked up some steam in July when the elder Sanders said the Raiders were a team that had his approval. That would be nice, said Sanders. Blah, 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 blah. Here's the video that we want to see right here. Hold on.
Coach, you talked about potentially having 4 first-round draft picks this upcoming year.
Yeah.
Some very early draft projections have Shedeur coming right here to Las Vegas to play for the Raiders.
That'd be nice.
Just your thoughts on the city and, you know, the possibility of him coming
here. I'm
here.
not a gambler, so I'm not with all that. But that'd be nice.
That'd be nice.
He has a wonderful head coach, a wonderful president in this organization that I think I'm meeting today, actually. Right?
Yeah.
So that'd be nice. I've been looking around the stadium.
Okay, so obviously he says that'd be nice. Now, that was on July 10th. He said a lot of things in this video about Antonio Pierce. He's a great man. He's a great coach, blah, blah, blah. We don't know if he still has that same idea now. And I think, they mentioned that as we continue to read. Pierce has not had the success in his first season head coach, but with Tom Brady now in the mix, there is another important figure in the building Sanders would presumably be excited about. Sanders circled back to the conversation around his son again this week and said the Eli Manning plan, Eli Manning forced his way to not play for the San Diego Chargers back in the day, is an option. He also talked about what he's looking for in Shedeur's next team. There are still teams he isn't allowed to play for, and some interpreted his comments as a nod to Tom Brady, who is now minority owner of the Raiders. A Barstool Sports article this week suggested Deion is basically begging the Raiders to draft Shedeur, and if that's where he wants to play, there's a good chance he can make it happen. The Raiders would have to be on board with the plan, but what better options do they have at this point? Okay, before we get into the film breakdown and reading the Bleacher Report article on the player comparisons and everything that I need to know about Shedeur Sanders, there's a couple things I want to say right off the bat. If we have the first overall pick and Tom Telesco thinks Shedeur Sanders is the best player available, he's the best quarterback to lead this franchise into the future, I trust him to make the pick. That needs to be the pick. Where I rank Shedeur on my personal rankings might not be number one. We'll see after I watch this film. However, no matter what Tom Telesco does, quarterback-wise, in this draft, I am on board. I've said it 100 million thousand times. He has a proven track record of knowing which quarterbacks are going to hit. He was in the draft room for Andrew Luck. He was in the draft room for Peyton Manning. He drafted Justin Herbert. He tried to trade up for Jaden Daniels. This guy knows what future franchise quarterbacks look like. And if Shedeur is the pick, then Shedeur is the pick. Here's what I will say, though. Just because Deion Sanders wants us to pick Shedeur Sanders, that doesn't mean I want him on the team. That doesn't mean Tom Telesco and Tom Brady should throw their hands up because Cam Ward's dad doesn't come out and say, I want him to be a Raider either. If they think it's Cam Ward or Milroe or Aller or Dart, right, or any of these guys, they need to take them instead of Shedeur and do not let any of the outside noise affect you. If the Bears had a do-over, would they go Caleb Williams or would they not let the outside noise affect them and go Jaden Daniels? Your guess is as good as mine, but I think we all have the same guess. And here's what I will say again, and I've said this till I'm blue in the face. The offensive coordinator to lead this team into the future and the next head coach to lead this team into the future is almost as important as the quarterback that we take. We need to find somebody. And Tom Brady's going to be in the building, and that will help a lot. And I think the Tom Brady of it all is the reason why Shedeur feels like he is going to be a Raider. We need to be able to find someone that can develop this guy. And we're going to see what Scott Turner does moving forward. I don't expect us to look that much better, but we'll see. He's called plays before. We will see. Last thing I'll say is this. If Tom Telesco scouts all these guys, including Shedeur Sanders, and says, I'm not going with any of these quarterbacks, he better get a veteran in here that knows how to win football games because I'm not running it back with Gardner Minshew, Desmond Ridder, and Aiden O'Connell. We better find somebody else to get us to that next point to draft Arch Manning or somebody next year. But again, it all comes down to Tom Telesco. This is all nice and well and good. And no, Deion Sanders will not be the head coach of the Raiders next year. I can almost guarantee you that. This probably isn't going to age well. But I don't want any of the outside noise to affect all of us, and I also don't want us to get our hopes up. Because we did this with Jaden Daniels. We thought it was surefire. We were going to trade up and get him. Problem is the Commanders knew how good he was. They weren't going to trade him for all the picks in the world. Right? So that's kind of my initial take on this whole whirlwind of news and rumors around Shedeur Sanders. We will now, without further ado, get into the Bleacher Report breakdown, the scouting, the film of Shedeur Sanders, and my criteria for what makes a quarterback draftable, in my opinion. I've got all my tiers down here. My Patreon people who are watching this video, you know how this works, so let's get into it. Now, I know you might be thinking, YouTube, why is he fast-forwarding through the whole thing, and why is there another video of him talking in front of my face right now? Well, this is a Patreon-exclusive video. I let you see the beginning of it, and now we're going to get into the Patreon stuff where I talk about the film, and I can't put that on YouTube because it's copyright infringement. So if you want to see me break down the film, you're going to have to go to patreon.com/ALLaBorde Raiders, sign up for the $5 tier, and watch not that one, but all the other ones. You get a bunch of cool things with that tier. Sign up. Check it out. So here's my thought process after watching the film. We got to draft this guy. And look, I've gone into why, I've been able to kind of, for the most part, pick out who's going to be good in these drafts, and I've broken it down to these 5 attributes. These are my 5 points for a franchise quarterback. 5 franchise quarterback attributes. I don't know. We'll come up with some sort of trademark. accuracy, decision-making, pocket presence, throwing motion, attitude. The only thing Shedeur Sanders doesn't really have at the current moment is pocket presence, and I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that he doesn't trust his offensive line in Colorado, and that can be taught. You know what cannot be taught? Accuracy. You know what cannot be taught? Throwing motion, attitude, decision-making up in the air, if that can be taught or not. Is it nature? Is it nurture? The reason why I'm going to put Shedeur Sanders, I don't know how to spell his first name. Oh, wait, it's right there in front of me. Shedeur. At number 1 is because I think at the end of the day, you need someone mentally tough, and you need someone who is extremely accurate. It's the reason why initially I didn't want to just throw Aiden O'Connell to the Wolves, and I still don't. I want him to play this season. I want to see what he's got. And maybe he could be our backup moving forward. But Shedeur Sanders has a tight spiral. He's an accurate passer in the face of adversity at Colorado with a bad offensive line. And he wants to be a Raider. And to me, the difference between Cam Ward's athleticism and Shedeur Sanders' accuracy, like if their best attributes are Cam Ward's athleticism, Shedeur Sanders' accuracy, it's right here. It's right here. And the difference between Cam Ward and Shedeur Sanders, in my opinion, is that when Shedeur Sanders broke from the pocket, he never once took both hands off the football. He held it like it was the franchise. Franchise is on the ground, you're on the ground. Franchise stays up here. This is the program. You hold the program. And he kept his eyes down the field. He's a quarterback. I thought he was going to be more of a run-around Lamar Jackson type. That's not the case. I had not seen that film. Shedeur Sanders, as of right now, we'll see how the combine goes. We'll see how the injury medical history turns out. We'll see how the rest of the season goes. Maybe Drew Aller can jump these people. Cam Ward, I don't know. College football playoff, a lot to do. Right now, Shedeur Sanders is my number 1 option. It's November 13th, so let's see how that ages. But right now, I was sold from that film. I think he's the guy. So what say you? Comment below. Let me know your thoughts. Join that Discord. Link is in the description below. It's free. It's a big group chat. We're all talking and having a great old time. Hit the like button. Comment away. Join that Patreon. Patreon.com/ALLaBorde Raiders. And please be sure to subscribe. It is free. I have no charges to you. I love you guys. And I'll see you next time.